When Daggerheart was first released, there was some slight chatter online about how death isn't really a thing within the game, and as a result, the game has no weight to it. Well, here's the thing.
Everybody?
I will take it. That's just a single.
Wait, what happened? Scream's dead.
Now, I bet you thought I was going to show you a Fantastic Four clip. You find the rules for death on page 106. When your character reaches 0 hit points, or as the book puts it, marks off their last hit point, you must make a death move, in which you get 3 choices. Go out in a blaze of glory, where you as the player decide that your character gets one last action before they perish. When you do so, you automatically critically succeed, and then you cross over into the Veil. There are 2 other death moves, but I want to focus on this one really quickly. Out of the 3, this one is probably my most favorite, because this is a way more interesting way for your character to go out, rather than you just roll a die and suddenly they just no longer exist. Rather, your character gets to do one last massive and really cool thing before they go out. It's like in every bit of media that we've ever seen, where the character is on their last legs. However, they do one final heroic act. We get to live that out. It's absolutely cinematic, it's awesome, and you basically get to say goodbye to your character with one last heroic act before moving on to another one. It is absolutely perfect, it's dynamic, it's interesting, it's cinematic, and it can lead to some really cool narrative moments. Avoid death. Avoid death causes your character to drop unconscious. They can't be targeted and basically can't do anything until they regain hit points or finish a long rest. Afterward, you must roll a d12 hope die. If the roll is equal to or lower than your current level, you gain a scar. And scars are no joke. When you gain a scar, you lose a hope slot, which hope is a mechanic that many classes use as a means to activate their resources. Or you can use other hope actions to help allies and much more. Now, the book does say scars are permanent, but then it also contradicts itself by saying it can be healed by a downtime project or quest reward. So it's not permanent, but it is an ordeal to heal it. There is really no simple way to fix it within Daggerheart. It's not like you take a long rest and suddenly you're all better. Then honestly, if you do get enough of your hope slots removed, your character either starts to become, well, not really useful because they can't activate certain abilities, and furthermore, if you lose all of them, then, well, you have to retire the character. That's really the wording within the game. Again, I like this because it's up to the player. They may not be ready to say goodbye to their character, so they are willing to take a risk to where they may not be able to activate certain abilities, and if they gain enough of them, well, they'll have to retire them completely. Also, I don't mind the fact that you can't target the downed character if the player goes with this method. If the GM was able to target the character after the player decided that they want to keep playing this character because they really like it, well, at that point it would stop feeling like the player and GM are telling the story together, and more so that the GM is now targeting the character because they didn't die. It feels like the GM is at that point going directly against the player and being antagonistic. Now, is it realistic for enemies to attack downed characters? I mean, yes, it is. But that's not the spirit of Daggerheart. That's not what the game is going for. The game is going for a narrative element where the GM and players work together. If the GM is allowed to target down players after the player decided that they didn't want that to happen, then that's going against the spirit of the game. Then lastly, Risk It All. This one is just fantastic. You roll the hope and fear die. You're not adding anything together, you're just seeing which one is higher. If the hope die is higher, then you remove hit points and stress points you may have gathered up until now, equal to the value of the hope die. So if you rolled a 6, you can spend up to 6 of those to regain HP and remove stress. You can divide this however you see fit. However, if fear was higher, well, your character falls and crosses the veil. Now, if you critically succeed, which is rolling doubles, then you clear all hit point and stress points. The other 2 I like because there is a cinematic and narrative element to the story that is being told even in death. However, this one I like just because it is absolute and pure chaos. You're leaving the fate of your character completely up to, well, fate with a dice roll. It's really funny and also just, well, absolutely dramatic because you don't know what's going to happen. Is your character going to survive? Are they going to come out swinging? Or is that just it? This is probably not one that I'm personally going to be doing all that much. I will probably be leaning toward the first two much more often, but maybe every once in a while, if I'm in a little chaotic mood, or maybe I just don't know if I want to keep playing the character, this could be a fun method to use and just leave it completely up to chance. Now, we should also really quickly address Resurrection, because it is possible to bring characters back. However, it's not really all that common. The Resurrection spell or ability is a level 10 ability, which is max level in Daggerheart. So it's obvious that Resurrection is very powerful and potent magic. It is something that is exceptionally rare in the game of Daggerheart. So again, death does have a lot of weight, which makes sense as to why players should be able to choose if they want their character to move on, considering it is a bit more rare. That being said, you can absolutely have quests or areas within your worlds that players can go to potentially do a resurrection on a character. Suddenly, a death of a character leads to new avenues where the story is being told. We're using the mechanics of the game and the fact that resurrection is a limited resource and an ordeal to go over to bring a character back. Overall, I really like how death and resurrection work within Daggerheart. It is completely up to the player. The player gets to decide as to whether or not they are ready to move on from the character, whether or not they want to go in a blaze of glory, or just leave it completely up to chance. And even then, to bring someone back is a major ordeal. It is something that you have to strive for. It's always a quest. And to me, if you can make a narrative and a story out of it, then that is way more interesting than, well, something just happens and that's it. So that's overall how death moves work within Daggerheart and why I pretty much really like them. Let me know your thoughts on the death moves down below, and with that, I'll catch you all next time.